2026 meeting agenda. Staff?
Thank you, Mayor. Members of Council, I've got a few updates for you tonight. I'll try to do it in order that they're on the agenda. The first are going to be updates to consent item H. This was for a Hennepin County environmental grant. Essentially, staff submitted this report last week, and we've just got updated information on the amount of dollars that was included for this. So that resolution and application's been updated in the packet, both in your council packet and the one that's out here and on our website. Very similarly, item I in consent, same type of deal. We were waiting on just a number amount, so that kind of placeholder has been updated with the actual dollar amounts that the grant they're applying for is. So those are the first two items. The next one is presentation item C, the Robbinsdale Public Library Centennial Proclamation. We were kind of waiting out for that for this past weekend, so the actual proclamation is now on your agenda in front of you, and that's been emailed to you earlier, and then it was also included in the packet, both in your agenda portal and then on the public side too. And then the last one is just for the other business item 11A, voucher requests. The council received a copy of that actual report, and there's a printed copy in front of you tonight, and so we're adding that to the agenda as well. And that is it from staff.
Excellent. Thank you, Chase. Council, anything you'd like to rearrange on tonight's agenda? All right. I get a motion?
Hearing none, I will move that we approve tonight's agenda.
And second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no or nay. Agenda approved. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Pursuant to council rules, one motion non-debatable will approve the recommendation noted. Any member of the council may ask for an item to be taken from the consent agenda for discussion in separate action. Such items removed from the consent agenda shall be considered immediately following approval of the balance of the consent agenda. I know I would like to pull item E, and that is the approval of joint equipment purchase and the JPA with the City of Crystal. Anybody else have anything they'd like to pull from the consent agenda? Okay. Is there approval, or is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Sans item E.
I move to approve the consent agenda without item E. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no or nay. Consent agenda has been approved. Sans item E. Tim, can you hum a few bars on what item E is?
Mr. Mayor, Council, I'd be happy to. So what you have in front of you here is the purchase or joint purchase of 2026 or through the 2026 capital equipment budget with the City of Crystal. Oftentimes, the city explores opportunity for shared resources. This may be a piece of equipment, this might be programming, in a variety of ways that we can be most efficient with those tax dollars that we utilize to pay for this type of equipment. In this scenario, it's a good example where the equipment usage may not be required, 5, 6, 7 days a week, solely in Robbinsdale. Similar situation in Crystal. So as we continue to coordinate with entities like the City of Crystal and certainly other neighboring jurisdictions, the opportunity came up for this joint purchase. Again, really want to pound home the top priority again is being most efficient, not being wasteful, not getting equipment that we don't need, and identifying those opportunities again. Might be another city, county, might be the Three Rivers. Again, those opportunities as they come up, we're always happy to explore. So again, what you've got in front of you here is to authorize the joint purchase of that crack router with the City of Crystal. Total Robbinsdale share cost of $19,672.50.
And is it safe to say that we're within our budget doing that? In fact, we made a little room for something more, correct?
Mr. Mayor, Council, another good question. So while we do, again, utilize different parts of the equipment budget for purchase, sometimes we incur savings, sometimes we go over a bit for what's budgeted. These pieces of equipment are so unique that it can go both ways, but in the end, we're ultimately looking for that cost savings for that bottom line.
Okay, thank you. And the reason I wanted to pull that is, for all that are listening and we're here, it's just a great example of the city looking out for residents and getting things done without having to impact our tax levy. So I want to thank the city. Thank you for your creativity on that one. It really made me smile when I when I came across this in the consent agenda, so thank you. Council, anything else you'd like to add or question? Okay, well, is there a motion to approve the joint equipment purchase and joint powers agreement with the City of Crystal to purchase and use the equipment, City Project 8080?
So moved.
Oh.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no or nay. Approved. Thanks again. Okay. So what did we approve tonight? On the consent agenda, we approved meeting minutes from April 21st, 2026. We approved City Council work session meeting minutes from March 10th, 2026. We approved the quarterly financial information for general water, sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and solid waste. The establishment of the 2027-2028 budget calendar. We talked about the joint equipment purchase. We accepted a proposal for crack ceiling. We accepted a badge donation from Twin Cities Walleyes Unlimited to badges and bobbers. We approved a resolution supporting 4205 West Broadway proposed redevelopment project grant application to Hennepin County Environmental Response Fund grant program. And we approved the resolution of support for Hennepin County ERF grant application 4740 and 4750 for 42nd Avenue Mitchell Realty Business Building, as well as a bank signature change. Thank you. All right, moving on. Next, we've got presentations. Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month Proclamation.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. I can give a little intro for your first of three proclamations for tonight. As you said, this one's for Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, which is typically May in throughout the year. This is in part of an ongoing effort of the internal DEI committee to raise and bring awareness to our diversity and inclusivity, also in support of what council's directed us to do. So that committee kind of has put this series of proclamations out there together and have been doing so for, over a year plus, maybe a year and a half or so. For this specific proclamation, the designated theme for 2026 by the Federal Asian Pacific American Council is Power in Unity, Strengthening Communities Together, which highlights the importance of leveraging our collective power, telling our stories, and being bridge builders in our communities, which exactly upholds what we want to try to do as staff, and I'm sure you do as the council as well. So with that, we're asking the council to make a motion to approve this resolution and proclaim May 2026 to be Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month in the city of Robbinsdale.
Excellent. Thank you, Chase. Council, any questions, comments, or motions? Yeah, Councilmember Parisian.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, staff, for putting this together. I'm always happy to support these initiatives, and for those who might be tuning in and are looking for some way to recognize AAPI month, there are some really great events happening around the Twin Cities. So a little bit further down Highway 100, there is a festival being hosted by the city of Edina, and they are hosting the Asian American Alliance, their 4th annual Asian American Pacific Islander Month Festival, and that's being held Saturday the 16th from noon to 4, and it looks like they're going to be lots of performances and small Asian-owned businesses serving food and other ways to build community. So I thought that was a cool event that I wanted to highlight from a somewhat neighboring city, but in other words, I'm more than happy to support this proclamation. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you for the heads up on that event. That sounds fantastic. Any other questions, comments, motions? Take a motion.
I will make a motion to adopt the proclamation proclaiming May 2026 Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no or nay. Okay. That has been approved. Next up, National Public Works Week proclamation.
Mr. Mayor, council members, good evening.
Good evening.
Talking about public works is one of my favourite things, as you all know. Different times of the year we talk about different things, and before you tonight is a request to adopt a proclamation for National Public Works Week. This time last year I think I was heading out to DC to take part in some activities out there on Capitol Hill because our water treatment plant won a national award, and they like to get public works folks with good projects and good people out there in front of the legislators to just demonstrate what good work public works folk do and how important they are for the success of the communities that they serve. You know, public works is probably doing its job the best when people don't know. You know, things go on in an orderly fashion in communities right across the world because there are guys in public works doing their job and doing their job well. They're also there when the brown stuff hits the fan, so to speak. And let's throw up a couple of pictures of a recent drama that the city had. I was actually 30,000 feet in the air flying to London when this happened. Water main break at West Broadway and 40th Avenue, and it was a fairly substantial water main break. 12-inch pipe, water gushing everywhere. Police were there and had set up some boundaries so folk wouldn't get in the way and what have you. But again, you know, that was a Friday afternoon, late on a Friday afternoon. Our guys mobilised, got out there and took care of business so that the water services to other people in the city were not impacted. So that's the sort of activity that goes on. As much as these sorts of things are not good to have, it generates some interesting artwork in the community. I love these pictures, they're fantastic.
Yeah.
And this is the latest in a long string of artwork we've seen. When the Joint Water Commission pipe first failed on County Road 9 there by McDonald's, it was a big hole and someone thought, well, that's big enough for a T-Rex to come out of. And then 12 months later, when that same pipe broke up by the library, well, now we've got an aquatic dinosaur that's coming out of the ground. So a bit of humour in what is, you know, somewhat challenging situation. So, you know, the guys get out there and take care of business. You know, underneath the surface is a lot of stuff. You can see the old brick sanitary manhole there. Kind of immediately to the left of that sanitary manhole, you can see a couple of kind of brown-looking box-shaped elements. I've got a better picture of that here. You can see these things here. They're fibre ducts that run underneath the road, and I think these are the ones that go to North Memorial. So, you know, they're fairly important fibre ducts. You know, you've got other utilities down there too, which is represented by the orange and the black wires there. So, yeah, working in between all that is always a fun time to make sure that we get things right and don't cut anybody off certain services. Ultimately, the culprit was this water main. And if you look carefully, you can see a hairline crack that runs through there. But just a hairline crack can cause so much water to come out of the ground, disrupt all the brick surfaces and everything like that. It's quite amazing. And here's another kind of picture of the failed piece of pipe. The pipe is basically broken apart. So, you know, the fact that our guys could get onto that really quickly, shut it down, stop the wastage of water, you know, the volume of water that had come out before they got on site did cause a fair bit of damage, and we still have to get that fully restored yet. But that's the sort of thing that the guys in the public works field look after. And, you know, in a city like Robbinsdale, where we have ageing infrastructure, we're trying to keep up with the replacement of it. But, you know, we also want to do that in a financially or fiscally responsible way. We don't want to send residents broke by overcharging them, have really high taxes and all the rest. But just to realise that to replace some of this stuff does cost money, and it doesn't get any cheaper year after year. So getting back to the National Public Works Week proclamation, you know, a lot of the public works associations seek this proclamation from organisations such as the city here, just in recognition of the wide and varied work that folks in the public work industry take care of, and the many activities that make up public works. So the city continues to put forward efforts to have these sorts of services recognised by residents. We have flock plant tours, we have water treatment plant tours. Water treatment plants will be conducted through the week of National Public Works Week. I am here in town this year, so I will be conducting them myself. We got them set up for the Saturday and Sunday at either end, an evening one on Wednesday and a couple of day ones. So if our residents who are out there listening would like to visit and tour our new water treatment plant, I'd be happy for them to sign up online and be glad to take them around. Also believe Jana will be doing some tours of the Crystal Lake flock plant that week as well. So lots of fun stuff to come out and look at, to learn a bit more how some of those activities help the city to run. So that would be fun. So after all of that, I would request that the City Council consider adoption of the proclamation that has been attached to your business paper.
Excellent. Before we vote, and maybe others will have comments, I know I certainly do. You guys are the unsung heroes in the city, because you're making sure the city operates that water. People were calling me, you know, of course. So thanks for taking care of that from 30,000 feet in the air, or better yet, thanks for having such a capable staff that you didn't need to be right there and oversee that. So that's amazing. Also, just because it's out there, we need another water tower, because that water tower took a hit, right? The water level in that tower dropped significantly as a result. That's correct.
The water level did drop quite significantly.
Yeah. So everything you're saying, everything that we're doing to look out for the city, replacing the infrastructure when you got instances like this, it's just a very good reminder that you can't let this stuff delay. So I'm appreciative of all that you guys do. The streets get plowed, the potholes get filled, the cracks get filled, the water stays clean, you do the water treatment plant. I mean, without you, we'd be in a mess. So thank you for everything that you're doing. I'm happy to support this proclamation. Council, any questions, comments, or motions?
I'll just say and echo thank you for the hard work that the entire team does. And I know that when I'm out and talking to residents, I hear a lot about how great our services are and how quickly our streets are plowed, especially when you look across the street to some of our neighbors where it's not plowed. So I know that it's not always the easiest or most fun, and you're working weird hours and overnight and all those things, but it's very much appreciated. So thank you.
I will make a motion to adopt the proclamation for National Public Works Week.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. No R's, just ayes. All those opposed say no or nay. Public Works Week has been proclamated. Thank you, Richard, and
Appreciate
the
it,
entire staff and the Public Works team.
Thank
you guys mean a lot to us. All right, next up, we have the Robbinsdale Public Library Centennial Proclamation.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Council. Just a brief introduction here, third of three proclamations here tonight. This past Saturday, the Robbinsdale Historical Society kicked off a month of celebration recognizing the 100th anniversary of the Robbinsdale Public Library building. This is a facility that the city does own, and they do partner with the art gallery up there, but calling out the significance of it originally being opened in 1926. As a part of the celebration, I do want to call out, as noted in your proclamation here, some special recognition was given to Pete Ritchie. He, as an individual, has served as president for the last, I believe, about 15 years, and has been very innovative in bringing a lot of their items online, digitizing, making things more accessible in a variety of ways, including starting up a podcast, which, if you got time, worth a listen. So I know Councilmember Greenberg was able to attend the event over the weekend, and again, it's something they'll continue to celebrate for the month of May, but we were happy to put this in front of you here for consideration.
Excellent, thank you. Comments?
Yeah, I mean, I was able to attend the celebration on Saturday, and it was a great event with many people from the Historical Society and as well as friends of Pete's, and so it was really a really nice event on a beautiful day, and I was glad I was able to be there. So excited to approve this proclamation and support it.
Excellent. And I'll just make a plug for the Robbinsdale Historical Society and the art gallery there. It's really a cool facility, and if you've been a long-time Robbinsdale resident or you're new to the community, it's worth a tour going through there. It won't take long, but there's some great stuff in there, and you know, as Robbinsdalians, if that's a word I can use, I think there's a lot to be proud of here in Robbinsdale. So I'm also happy to support this proclamation. Any other comments or questions? Motions?
I
I'll
can
make a motion to approve the proclamation recognizing Pete Ritchie and the Robbinsdale Public Library Centennial.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no or nay. All right. That is approved. All right, moving on. We have public hearings, massage therapy business license.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. What you have before you here is consideration for a application as described here. Stephanie Nicole Keefe has leased space at 4740 42nd Avenue. You'll recall Mr. Mitchell acquired this building and has since been utilizing the space for a variety of businesses. Ms. Keefe has acquired a space to operate a business DBA Relaxology Minnesota LLC. The conditional use permit was approved on April 7, 2026. As required by City Code, a public hearing must be held before the issuance of a license for a massage therapy business. I do want to note before I go on, just real quickly, this has brought to attention of staff. This process may be a bit cumbersome. The way zoning allows for the practice of massage does get to be maybe an extra step. We just haven't had a ton of applications in recent history, and has brought to light that we feel maybe some adjustments. So just watch for that in the next couple of months. We'll make some recommendations to update code and just make this process a little bit easier for applicants. I do want to share that the applicant completed everything required here out of City Hall. The building official, fire marshal, and community development director do ask that the following be completed. So if your recommendation is to approve, it would be based on the conditions that all permits are completed, including building, plumbing, HVAC, and with the Department of Health inspection. Fire department would require all working exit lights up to date and fire extinguishers, and exit and entrance passageways be illuminated, and all signs would require permits, including temporary signs. So under those conditions, staff does make the following recommendations: that you hold a public hearing, motion to approve the therapeutic massage business license, and then motion to approve the individual massage therapy license. Again, where it sounds a little bit redundant, because it is, but those are the three pieces staff is recommending for you here tonight. Before you open the public hearing, I'm happy to respond to any questions, comments, or concerns.
Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no or nay. Public hearing is open. Any comments, concerns, questions?
Seeing none, I motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no or nay. Public hearing is closed. Do we have another motion?
I can put a motion for to approve the therapeutic massage business licenses for Stephanie Nicole Keefe to operate as Relaxology Minnesota LLC at 4740 42nd Avenue North, suite number 111, pending successful completion of any inspections or other requirements.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no or nay. That is approved. And rounding to third base, another motion.
Motion to approve individual massage therapy license for Stephanie Nicole Keefe.
Second. Oh, go ahead.
I got you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no or nay. That has been approved. Congratulations.
Congrats.
All right, you did it.
Thank you.
We did it. It was a lot. Looking forward to those changes. Okay. Moving on. No old business, but moving on to new business, we got zoning text amendment to code, section 820, public and right-of-way trees, vegetation.
Thank you, Mayor. I will get this ready and get started. Alrighty, thank you. It's glad to be up here again. This is going to be a zoning text amendment to code section 820, public and right-of-way trees and vegetations. Just letting you know, it kind of sounds clunky there. That's the actual section it states in code, so that's where I'm taking it from. And this is being brought today because the zoning text is to update language in section 820 per recommendations from our city forester and water resource specialists. This is mainly to ensure code regulations match actions currently done by staff and keep code language accurate, modern, and within best management practices with the state of Minnesota. So we're just doing basic updates tonight and just making things a little bit more streamlined as we go forward into the season. A little bit background of why we're doing this now. Over the past year, staff identified enforcement challenges regarding section 820, and this is mainly due to overgrown pollinator lawns. Generally in staff practice, when we see people with pollinator, bee-friendly signs, bee-friendly lawns, we like that. We want to let them have bee-friendly lawns. We want to leave them alone, let them kind of enjoy their lawns in peace. But we've noticed that this kind of can be a double-edged sword sometimes and makes things a little bit more complicated than need be. And where this kind of goes into is, we ended up having issues with some lawns that were in city, in our records, seen as pollinator, but have become very overgrown throughout multiple years. It would become infested with thistle, overgrown with nettle, a whole bunch of noxious weeds, and it no longer was actually seen per engineer, the engineering department, as a pollinator garden. We would get staff or resident neighbor complaints stating go ahead and send violations, but with current code, we really couldn't go after it because it was seen as a pollinator garden. And we didn't have any standards in code stating what would we see as a pollinator garden. We're just trying to update that, clean it up, put a little bit of standards on it. So when we get these worst case scenario properties, we at least have a tool in the toolbox instead of kind of just looking at it and saying, ooh, that's kind of the situation. Another part we're updating to is our prohibited streets tree list. And this was actually proposed by the city forester. We're really trying to push this to be more manageable, to know trees that are prohibited from planting than describing trees allowable for installation. What that kind of means is there's actually a section of ordinance that lists all the trees allowable for our street right-of-ways. This is not talking about residential trees. They have complete freedom to put trees in their whatever species they want. But our forester, just throughout just his years of practice and expertise, wanted to have a more updated list to show what trees are prohibited for installation as we go forward. These are just hardier trees, more resilient to disease, so that way as we're installing them and maintaining them going forward, we have less issues and problems. So that was another area we wanted to update per his recommendation. And again, we are absolutely not limiting or trying to put standards on which trees residents are allowed to have. We want to let them have the freedom to put whatever trees they want in their own yard. We would just give them that kind of freedom. So right now, this is actually the proposed ordinance that I wanted to show. This is all the language we're hoping to change. It's, again, minor edits, grammatical errors that we're just updating. And then right there, you actually see 820.03. We see the prohibited street tree list instead of the permitted street tree list. Again, this is just an update the forester would use as he goes forward with his own duties. If you see anything that looks a little weird as you're going through it, by any means, at the end of my presentation, please allow me to go through it. And I do have the city forester and water resource specialist tonight to answer any technical questions you might have. And I'm just going through again through the ordinance down there in 820.15, turf grass and noxious weed. This is just stating that if we do end up having complaints over pollinator gardens, we can at least have them be reviewed by the engineering department. If we receive complaints, our engineers can actually at least go out, review the plants. They have expertise in identifying noxious weeds and pollinator style plants. This allows code enforcement to at least have some expertise in these areas when I don't have the expertise myself, and it gives me a little bit of leg room and a helping hand almost in some situations. So this is just to update us and give us more flexibility. This was presented to the Planning Commission with any zoning text amendments. The Planning Commission reviewed it on their regular scheduled meeting, February 19th, 2026. A public hearing was held at this meeting. No comments were made, and the public hearing was then closed. Notice of the public hearing was published in the city's official newspaper and posted on the city's bulletin board 10 days prior to the meeting as per state statute. The city received no inquiries from residents prior to that meeting. The Planning Commission motioned for a recommendation of approval to the City Council with no added conditions. I do have a sample motion below, and I am available for any questions along with the City Forester and Water Resource Specialist.
Thank you. Council, any questions? Yeah, Councilmember Greenberg.
Thank you. Thanks for the presentation. It seems to make sense as far as the prohibited tree list. It's relatively limited, but is there any way, or did we specifically avoid for the grasses and like the, not that we would be able to provide a list because I think it's probably pretty expansive, but just some examples that would maybe give people a frame, like a thistle or buckthorn or whatever, you know, like some ideas of like this would be an example. And I would imagine that people that have overgrown gardens don't, like a pollinator garden, don't necessarily know, but maybe some examples like that. It's not saying only these, but just here's some idea of what we're getting at, because it doesn't really say that. It's like basically up to the discretion, and I would rather have, I mean, it's really nice that it's so specific for trees. Again, that's a much smaller list. But in some way, you know, I think you get what I'm trying to say, but if there's any way to give some context to that or make some suggestions of what would fall under, like, this is not allowed.
Yeah, absolutely. I know in the past when I would deal with code violations dealing with noxious weeds for species I'm not very familiar with, I would look over to City Forestry and the Water Resources Specialist for help. Like you said, it's a very expansive list. I believe they actually look with this, and I could be wrong here, if my coworkers wanted to come up and correct me, but I believe there is a list on the Department of Natural Resources that has a long section of what is considered noxious.
Okay.
Let my coworker come in.
Councilmember Greenberg, the Minnesota Department of Agriculture maintains a list of noxious weeds, and that list grows like every year. So we kind of defer to that
Okay.
as the current go to prohibited plant list. The trees are more specific to this area, Robbinsdale. They're
Yep.
not all noxious, but for a variety of reasons, that's what we have on there. But yeah, we defer to the Department of Agriculture for that.
Is there any way to maybe reference the Department of Agriculture list in the, like, not the entire list, but that it exists? Or, I'm just trying to give residents who are going to read this and be like, well, I don't know, it's like long grass. And it's just like, I can't tell if it's a pollinator garden or not.
Yeah, and I think something we could do is maybe make a handout, because there's definitely native thistle, there's invasive thistle, for
Okay.
example. So we don't want people to get rid of a native thistle because they think it's invasive. So I think something we could do is maybe create a handout of some maybe your more common weeds or invasive species that you might encounter, and be able to have that available for residents. That's something we could very easily create. And then Stefan and I are always happy to come out if residents have questions like, I don't know what this weed is, or I think it's a weed. And we can be like, oh, actually it's a native thistle. That's a great one to have in your yard.
Okay.
So we're always happy to come out and do consultations as well. But we could definitely create a handout too.
And the Department of Agriculture has, every year they update their list of species, and that's available online. We could make that available here at City Hall if anyone had any questions about what technically is banned per that. If we defer to the Department of Agriculture as a no-go plant, so to speak.
Yeah.
And again, they're constantly updating that using the best science, although like I said, that list grows and grows and grows every year. But yeah, there are multiple thistles and not all of them are noxious. You know, field thistle being a native thistle. We have a native bittersweet and a non-native noxious bittersweet. Oriental is the old term for it, I think, but we have an American bittersweet. Well, that's a good vine. So you have to differentiate from different species whose common name shares the same common name, but there's one is from Asia that's an aggressive, or one's is native.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Excellent. Any other question? By the way, good call out. So, no.
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Greenberg, if I can just follow up, I think to your direct question as to why we don't make reference in here, as staff has noted, the flexibility is ongoing. There may be other groups, there may be other lists, just due to the nature of, these constantly expanding. There certainly are circumstances where we make reference to, say, for instance, statute, but maybe not one for one, where something that does get us into trouble, the flexibility becomes limited. I think this cleans it up in a way that allows staff to interpret appropriately. If we find that it gets too loosey-goosey, so to speak, we would certainly make recommendations to update. But really, these corrections, I don't think we need that in these corrections here.
Okay. No, I mean, this is helpful too. It is making it clearer. Just, it was a thought I had. So I appreciate it, and thank you for the update and the education.
Okay, any other, yes?
Oh, I was gonna say, it's on the Department of Agriculture, and yeah, it's a very extensive list, so you're right. So thank you for that information. This is all very new as well to me, so new learning.
It started with Canada thistle in the 1870s, and now it's grown to 32 species or whatever we have. I just added several this year.
Sure, continue to grow. All right, well, if there's any other questions or comments, great. Otherwise, I'll take a motion.
I can make the motion. I'll make a motion to accept the first reading of a draft resolution with the proposed zoning text changes as presented.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no or nay. Okay, it's moved. Let's see here. Moving on to new business, item B, zoning text amendments to City Code Sections 825, tree pruning and chemical treatments, 835, tree disease and insect programs, 425.11, definitions, and 425.15, minimum standards.
Perfect. Let's see if this loads. Great. This is going to be within the same category as the ordinance we just looked into. The reason why there's a separation between 825 and then it goes to 820 and then we go to 825, 835 is just we had a little bit of issue with public hearing requirements. We wanted to make sure we met all timeline requirement standards. So we ended up pushing this text amendment to the March Planning Commission meeting. So that's why it's all being brought to you now. We wanted to bring everything nice together so that way you're not looking at one section and then next week we're looking at another. So we wanted to make sure you have the entire amount in front of you. So this is just another portion. So again, as with the last presentation, we are just trying to update sections of codes to make it more pliable to what actually staff is doing from day to day during the summer months. This update is within 825, 835, and 825, again with the recommendations per the forester, our city forester and water resource specialists. Over the past year, as with the last one, city staff identified significant enforcement gaps regarding tree-related violations. We ended up last year having, I bet you remember, severe thunderstorms that came in and really nailed the city of Robbinsdale. These thunderstorms broke a lot of tree limbs and a lot of trees, putting them down in front of people's front yards and even in the street. While with such a natural kind of hit, we usually, in city staff, we let residents deal with the downed trees themselves. We don't try and harp on them with code violations. Most residents cleaned up the trees in a timely manner, and a very few amount did not clean it up in a timely manner, and we ended up getting neighborhood complaints on some downed trees around the city. When we looked into code, we ended up realizing that downed trees are seen as a violation of city code per species. This made things a little bit difficult per city code, since some people may say, that's not my species of trees that's been knocked over, so you're kind of left looking at the code and kind of scratching your head. We're bringing this over to you today to kind of clean up, stating that if a tree falls over and is seen as deceased per city forestry and water resource, we'd like to see that cleaned up. We're not going to be absolutely sending out violations the second it happens, but if it were to go along where we start receiving complaints or it becomes a nuisance, we wanted to see that as such per city code. And that's kind of a reason why we're bringing this to your attention tonight. And this is just kind of referencing also what I've just stated. Additionally, we wanted to do updates to section 425 as well. And this is to establish clear definitions for managed native plantings, volunteer trees, and bee-friendly lawns. These definitions within the property maintenance code will provide staff with necessary tools to distinguish between neglected, overgrown properties and intentional ecological beneficial yard covers. In city code, you can't have just an exposed area of just kind of dirt. We usually want to see it sodded, or we want to see some type of landscaping placed in to keep it a nice community for our residents. As we're going forward with the yard covers and bee-friendly lawns, we want that to be shown in code as an acceptable yard cover. We want to make sure that pollinators, bee-friendly lawns, these are acceptable in city code, and we want the code to back up these individuals trying to have these type of lawns. We wanted to support them. And as we also see with the volunteer trees sometimes as well, these are trees, the city forester, even myself, I got a lesson on that, are trees that aren't intentionally planted. You might notice that a whole bunch throughout an entire year, 30 or some around the side of a house, all sprout up in very small trees. We see that as volunteer. They were not voluntarily planted, but this code will help us identify them as we move forward. As for the last section, this is the actual ordinance update. Whatever is being removed, we have stricken through, and anything that is being introduced is bold and underlined there. This is just, again, a lot of grammatical updates we're doing to the code as well to make sure it reads smoothly as we go forward. If you have any questions on any section here, myself, Stefan, and Jenna would be absolutely happy to answer them for you. But we'll do that at the very end of this presentation just to keep things moving. There's the next section there, just going through the diagnostics of violations. And to the property maintenance code, we actually just added those three definitions at the very end there in subdivision 56, 57, and 58. So majority of the property maintenance code, we just didn't make a lot of updates to. We just added them into the definition section. And then for minimum standards there for 425.15, we just added the very end for managed native plantings and landscapings. And then we just added also conditions of what we want to see there for as well if we do see them in code. It's mainly just saying that the regular eradication of noxious weeds, we don't want to see them sprouting up. We want to see a pollinator garden stay as a pollinator garden, and this was just backing that up as we go forward. As the last one, we did have this go forward through the Planning Commission meeting as well. This was just on a different date. This one was brought forward to the regularly scheduled meeting on April 16th, 2026. A public hearing was held at this meeting. No comments were made, and the public hearing was then closed. Notice the public hearing was published in the city's official newspaper and posted on the city's bulletin board 10 days prior to the meeting. City staff received no inquiries from residents about the public hearing. The Planning Commission motioned for a recommendation of approval to the city with no added conditions. And with that, I am available for questions along with my associates.
Council, any questions, comments?
I guess a quick comment, nothing too crazy, but yeah. Well, I just want to say I appreciate the level of intentionality you have around looking at the codes, reviewing them, and making them work for our community. I think there's something to be said around, like, you stated it very intentionally. I'm not trying to get people. I'm trying to create a space where it's understanding what's in our code, how it works for people, and how it can respectfully work for everybody. So I just appreciate the amount of work that it takes to review all these documents. I know from all of you, from staff, as you come up and do this, is such a, I mean, it's necessary and needed. And just thank you for the time y'all spend doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Blackledge? Anybody else, comments or questions?
I can make a motion to recommend approving the first reading of a draft ordinance with the proposed changes to sections 425, 825, and 835.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no or nay. Approved. Thank you very much. Very thorough. I appreciate the work you guys do.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.
All right. Next, under new business, we've got MP, CA, PFAS sampling project.
Mr. Mayor, council members, it's a bit of an alphabet soup, but we'll see how we go getting through this. By now, council members would be, fairly well versed in the PFAS issue that's, pretty much countrywide, pretty much worldwide. Family of compounds that are present in lots of groundwater sources throughout the country. Federally, the concentrations of those chemicals has been mandated, and it's interesting that over the years that level has been reduced by exponential amounts. It's really been getting very low. The current level, acceptable level of the PFAS compounds in drinking water is 4 parts per trillion. So that's barely detectable. As detection methods have gotten better, I think the level has gotten lower and lower to try and test those detection levels. But regardless, 4 parts per trillion, and all drinking water suppliers have to meet that standard. Right now, it's April 2029. There are some thoughts out there that might get extended a little bit, but right now, April 2029 is the date. Now, Robbinsdale has detected some of these chemicals in our wells. They're at very small levels, but they're still above that 4 parts per trillion. So we have to take actions to do something about that, to be in compliance by April of 2029. And if you recall, a couple of meetings ago, you approved a consultancy with AE2S to start a feasibility report. They'll be looking into what method of treatment is best suited for our conditions. At the same time, the PCA has come in and said that they would like to do some additional testing for us to help better define the smoking gun. Where has this stuff come from that is affecting City of Robbinsdale's water? In particular, I've been absolutely flabbergasted maybe not the word, but confused about why the readings in our well 5, which is down in the 4th ward, are what they are. There's no apparent reason upstream why we should have any PFAS in that water. So the PCA is coming in and trying to help us figure out where this came from. That in itself may help us determine whether the problem is one that is still increasing, whether it's flatlining, or whether it's going to be a decreasing problem over time. In order to do this, they would like to do some additional water testing, and they plan to do that a number of ways. They want to test a couple of surface locations. I've actually got the plans of all this that I can put up on the screen to help tell the story. Just bear with me a second here. But a couple of surface level locations will be tested, as well as 3 new, they just want to drill some boreholes, pull some water out, do some testing of that to kind of get an idea of the flow of these chemicals through the system. So the sites that they want to do the surface water testing are coming right up here. So we've got an area here which is the ponds that basically come out of with the fluck plant when it's operating. We've got the choice of sending water straight back into Crystal Lake or diverting it around through that pond system that runs around the back here and back into the lake. So they want to pull some samples out of that pond there. That essentially is lake water, because it's been pulled out of the lake, treated to have the phosphorus stripped out of it, and then back in it goes. So that's one surface location that they wish to test. The second one is here down in Grimes Pond. So this is down in the 4th Ward. We've got South Halifax Park in this location, Grimes Avenue over here, Halifax here. So that's the second surface location that they wish to get samples from. In terms of drilling, they would like to drill in 3 locations, and those locations are as follows. They would like to drill something in Triangle Park. So this would be pretty much where the old wading pool used to be, in that location. They're not going to do a full road closure here. They will use some of the parking indent that's up there to house their equipment. They need a drill rig, and they need a few other things up there to make that happen. Second location is in the cul-de-sac down here by the entry to Lakeview Terrace Park off County Road 81. They're going to use that part that doesn't go anywhere. So that seemed like a fairly reasonable ask. They've got to make provisions so that pedestrians that use that very busy trail around there can still do that and conduct their testing up there. Third location is actually down at South Halifax Park. And I did warn them that they should be aware of this, that South Halifax Park itself has got some fairly hot soils in it. So they're aware of that. We have to write them a letter every year to say that it's still got cover over it, and et cetera, et cetera. But the third place is right here on the edge of the park. Again, they're making provisions for pedestrians, so if someone wants to get to the playground, the South Halifax Park playground, they'll still be able to do that. So they are the 3, or the 5, I guess, testing sites. 3 below ground, 2 above ground. The PCA have advised us that with the 3 sites where they have to do the drilling, that would take up to about 4 weeks in total, and that's dependent on weather, dependent on the conditions they find as they drill, and also dependent on equipment performance. Some of these old drill rigs have a tendency to break down occasionally, so hopefully they've got the good gear. We won't get breakdowns. So 4 weeks in total to do the 3 sites. Now, as part of doing this work, they pull up water, they pull up the cuttings themselves from the drill works. And what they're doing is they want to capture that water, they want to capture those cuttings, and they want to dispose of them properly. Because they're going to be deemed to have PFAS in them, even though it's a really, really, really small amount, they're taking the precautions by treating it in a proper way and disposing of it properly. In order to do that, they need what's called a water processing and discharge area, which is an area that's about 60 feet by 60 feet. What they do is they bring in some dumpsters. I've got a picture of that process here, a schematic of it. They collect the water at the site in tanks, and then they ship it off to this central processing area, put it through these dumpsters to settle out the cuttings and any grit material. Then liquid goes into a centrifuge to get that final, any sand bits or anything like that out. Then the water from there goes into the sanitary sewer. PCA have arranged all the approvals through MESAs to allow that discharge into the sanitary sewer, and that's the way they wish to proceed. In order to find a location somewhere in the city that's 60 foot by 60 foot, that's not going to be too much of an imposition to residents, the site we came up with was down here by the middle school. It's right next to one of our lift stations, and the other alternate site we looked at was Sanborn Park, so we figured this was a far better option than Sanborn Park. The trick is you have to be close to that discharge point. Most of our sanitary sewers run in the middle of the road, so to get a line from the processing area into those sanitary sewers would have had to run across half of a road, which would not have been very convenient. Sanborn Park actually had a line that had been bored in for when they did the stormwater pipes. They had buried a line for dewatering as they were constructing, so that would have been very handy, but I don't think it would have been very friendly for the residents, nor would it have timed in well with the restoration of the park, and we heard from the residents that restoration of that park is a very important element. So we decided that this would be a better alternate to the Sanborn Park site. In terms of this particular site, it will be there for the 4-week duration of the drilling itself, and then we've been told that the bins have to sit there for an additional period of up to 6 weeks while things settle out, and they arrange for their hauler to come and take all these things back out. During that time, it wouldn't be operating; it would just be sitting there basically. The PCA believe that 30,000 gallons will be the maximum that they will need to process. Might sound a lot, but that's really not that much. The only financial impact to the city is because that water is then being discharged into the sanitary sewer. Every drop of water that goes past the meter station out in the parkway, we get charged for. So by my calculations of things, it's about $110 to discharge that additional water. So I didn't think that was a massive imposition at all. So the PCA and their consultant, who is brought into tech, have advised the city staff that they'd like to commence this work as soon as possible. They'd actually like to start on May 18th. In order to do that, we'll have to get City Council support tonight. And if that happens, I will have to send a flurry of letters off to residents who are adjacent to those sites tomorrow so that they can be aware of what's happening. Okay. I can put a bit of an explanation in the letter, and I can also have them give me a call or email if they need further information on that. In addition, the PCA requires an access agreement to be signed by the city, and a copy of that access agreement was included in your meeting materials. That document has been reviewed by our city attorney, and the city attorney did not raise any concerns with it at all. So at this stage, I would say that this project is a beneficial project to the city. It might help us determine some actions as we get more into the PFAS feasibility report. It's a minimal cost to the city. And at this stage, I would recommend approval of the project, and that City Council authorise the City Manager to sign the access agreement on behalf of the City.
Thank you, Richard. Definitely have your hands full here. So, Council, any questions, concerns, motions?
Yeah, I've got.
Yeah, Council Member Nanda Casares-Aranda?
Yeah.
Sorry, I totally butchered that. Sorry,
You're good.
Alejandro.
No, you're good, Mayor. No, thank you, Richard, again for this. I'm particularly interested in the South Halifax location, just because I actually live like 2 blocks away from there, so I'll be closely monitoring. I'm just kidding. I'll be. What's going to be the sort of follow up after you dig up the sites and do what you need to do? Is there going to be a presentation or some sort of findings or something like that?
I'd be happy to bring back information to City Council, share with you what was found.
Yeah.
Hopefully what they look at, and with their database of different sites throughout this part of the Twin Cities, they might be able to piece some bits together and make a better picture of where this stuff potentially came from. I've been told that this family of compounds, there's thousands of them, but I've been told that they can narrow down the testing so much that they can narrow down, it was this compound, and the sort of businesses that use that compound are, carpet cleaning or fire departments or some of the other, industries that use this material, and so they can apparently narrow it down pretty well, which I'd be absolutely fascinated to learn more about as they get this information. One thing I failed to mention in my report, it's in the report, but I failed to mention it verbally, was once they're done with each of these sites, they will be restoring them. So that's a good thing too. I don't expect there'll be a lot of damage at them. But sitting a drill rig in that location, the tyres are going to create some dramas. There's only one real point of impact as they're drilling the hole, but they have indicated to us that they will be doing restoration.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you for the question, Councilmember Casares-Aranda. Yes, Councilmember Parisi? No, you don't. Oh, okay. Do you have one? Yeah, I see hands going up.
No, it's okay.
Councilmember Greenberg.
So this might be obvious, but I'm just curious as far as they're putting the site back to the way that it was. Are they using the material that the cuttings that are bored out, do they put that back in? Is that how they restore it, or what? I don't know the process, so.
Typically they grout the hole up. They'll get a cement water mixture and put it in the hole and fill it back up to the top.
And it just...
And it sets, and it's a good solid plug. And that's the standard way they've been doing that sort of thing for many, many years.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the hole's only going to be...
Yeah, but that's still, if you walk up on a hole that size, how would you fill it up? I don't know. It's it's not like it's 10 feet in the ground. It goes way down.
Yeah, it does go way down.
So, interesting. Thanks.
Yeah, you would maybe you wouldn't want to be playing tennis or something and unfortunately throwing a tennis ball and have it get wayward. It might end up 400 feet underground.
Excellent. Thank you, Richard, and thank you for the question, Councilmember Greenberg. Any other questions or motions?
Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve the project by the MPCA to perform additional boring and testing of groundwater as it relates to sampling of the PFAS family of chemicals, and authorize the city manager to sign the access agreement.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no or nay. Approved. All right. Busy day tomorrow, Richard.
Sorry?
Busy day tomorrow.
Busy day tomorrow indeed. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to other business, voucher requests pending approval for disbursements. Anything to add? Question? Comments? Motions?
I'll make a motion to approve disbursement request for the period ending May 5th, 2026.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no or nay. It is approved. On to administrative reports.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Just a couple for you tonight from me. I'm just going to keep plugging away at my elections notices for you. So just want to remind folks that election judge applications are still being accepted. We do need party balance in our elections in our polling locations. So I encourage anyone from any party to apply. There's certain duties that require separate party balance and affiliation to do. So we do need anyone and everyone that wants to apply. So, and then obviously they'll be accepted based on the need and what's already received from the city. So go on our city website if you want to do that, or you can certainly contact me if you have any questions about it. Similarly, our candidate filing for awards 3 and 4, which are open this year, well, next year, I guess, starts May 19th at 8 a.m. and goes till 5 p.m. on June 2nd. So if, again, you have questions about a candidate filing process, please reach out to myself, and I'd be happy to answer those for you. And then since we won't have a meeting before this, I want to just remind people that the council set a town hall meeting for May 18th at 6 p.m., which will happen in the council chambers here. So those are my updates for tonight.
Thank you, Chase. Mr. Sandvik.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. A few quick updates from me. Do want to share out, as we're in the home stretch with the legislative session, the city does still have a couple of opportunities alive. Of course, we'll see what happens in these closing weeks. Want to share my thanks with Councilmember Miranda for joining me for some testifying here a couple weeks ago. Month of May, we got a lot of things going on. Starting Thursday, bike rodeo. Shared event that we do will be at the Crystal Community Center from 6 to 8. And then starting next week on the 11th, people will see Centerpoint out doing some work. We're still getting a bit more details, but we'll share that out as a part of your Birdtown brief that gets sent out on Fridays. May 16th, a couple items going on: the furniture collection event, as well as the compost giveaway. And then, as Mr. McCoy noted, for celebrating Public Works Week, the 17th through the 23rd, please check out those tours, the water treatment plant and the flock plant. As the clerk noted, the 18th brings the town hall. Again, want to encourage folks to bring all sorts of questions I know council's excited for. I'm sure we'll share a bit, but we'll have an abundance of staff there. Leadership from all departments are eager to hear from the community. May 21st, we'll recognize the City Cleanup Day, and then our Music in the Park series starts on the 28th. Finally, want to note that the annual survey will be available for folks to check out if you haven't already, so please jump on the website and let us know how we're doing.
Thank you, Tim. All right, moving on. Council General Communications. Council Member Parisian.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Council. Thank you, staff. Lots of great things going on in May, and in addition to those, I wanted to highlight that May is Mental Health Awareness Month. This is important to consider year-round, of course, but May is a good time to reflect on what mental well-being means to you and your loved ones. And I wanted to highlight a resource that's been made available by the Minnesota Department of Health. They've put together a mental health awareness toolkit, which is available for free on the state of Minnesota website. But this year's Mental Health Awareness Month theme is that you matter. And the theme is intended to remind you that no matter who you are, where you're from, or what you're going through, that you belong here and matter to the people in your life and community. So I wanted to take a moment to highlight that resource among many other resources that are available in our community, and encourage you to take some time to reflect and access those resources available to you. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Any other comments? Councilmember Greenberg.
Yeah, first of all, just say happy Cinco de Mayo for everyone out there. And then on Thursday, we've got the bike rodeo, which is a partnership with a number of different communities. But it goes from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Crystal Community Center, and Robbinsdale Parks and Rec participates, some of our other neighboring cities, but it's a great event. A few times it's been at Lakeview Terrace. It's always a lot of fun. So if you have kids, there's opportunity to win a new bike. There's lots of information on bike safety. So that's a fun one for families and neighbors. And then I know I've been paying attention to it, but the new system for paying utilities is live. So it's BSNA. Just want to make sure that that's called out. You do need to pay attention to, there should have been something you received in the mail that gives you instructions, but there's also information on the website. So make sure you're paying attention to that because it is really important and can sometimes be, I think I switched a credit card once and I like lost track of it for our utility billing, so I had to like figure that all out. So don't want that to happen to anyone else. So pay attention to this one. And with that, just enjoy the beautiful weather.
Councilmember Blackledge.
Very quick, very brief. Yeah, it just says we talk about mental health awareness month as well too, saying how your neighbors is really key and critical sometimes, acknowledging people and recognizing where they exist. So that's all I have for tonight. Thank you all for the updates as well.
All right, listen, it's not required. Okay, well, I'll keep it brief too, and this is more just a heads up. Chase, I'm going to join you at the district luncheon with Representative Omar on Friday. So we'll get a chance to hear updates from her on what she's working on in DC, as well as provide updates as far as what we're working on here in the city. So thanks for leading the charge on that while I was out of the office last week. With that, is there a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no or nay. Meeting adjourned.